People like to have reasons. We don't actually know why we do many of the things that we do, but we like to think back and think about how we actually got there. And we like to have some sort of single reason on why something actually happens. The truth is, we often don't know why we do things. If you take a deep dive and you start exploring this, we often don't understand the world as much as we think that we understand the world. And there's often not a single cause in why that happens. I encourage you to try this exercise. It's called the 5 whys, where you start thinking about why did this happen? And then why did that happen? And you take deeper dives and you realize that there's not necessarily a single answer ever about why stuff actually happens. And then, we think about why we think about why we understand the world or what happens with the world or why we do certain things. And the truth is, we never really understand why those things actually happen or why we do those things. I think about this as why I actually am doing, for example, I'm talking on a video. Well, I can easily just say it's because to get traction on the internet. Well, that doesn't really make that much of a deal for me. It's not really all that interesting in any sort of way. And it's not the real reason why I'm actually doing that. It's perhaps because I want to be inspiring or something along those lines. Maybe that's the thing that is causing that. I don't know, right? There's a lot of different reasons why we do stuff, and there's not a single answer ever. And when you actually start talking to people, you realize that everybody is messed up, and nobody knows what the real answer and why they actually do something, and why that there's a certain thing that actually happens. This problem is very well known to anybody that does research, that looks at it and realizes that, the world is incredibly complicated. And even today, even the most rigorous research that's out there, I still discount it because it assumes that there's only one moving factor often. And that's just not the truth of it. There's many things that go on, and it's an extremely complicated system that we can never really figure out on our own. And even still, would we want to figure out the entire system and how that actually works? I don't know. I don't think that necessarily is the best way to go about things. I think asking questions and knowing that we never quite understand anything, that the world is more complicated than we are, that we often don't have reasons for the things that we do, and a lot of the stuff is fairly arbitrary. Why we feel compelled to do the things that we do, I think that there's some beauty to that. There's some peacefulness to that there is, I don't know, maybe there is a higher being for why we actually do these things. I don't know. I just know that people like to have reasons. We like to know why things actually happen. We like to try to figure out what is going on, but ultimately, we never really quite know. So what can you take away from this? If you are uncertain, if you feel like I never really quite belong, if you feel like I just don't really know why I'm doing this thing, if you feel any of those emotions, you're completely normal. You're a complete human being. And I think, what you need to do is take a step back and know that you're part of a much larger puzzle that none of us can figure out. And that's okay. That's where you take a step back and say, what I'm doing is perfectly fine. What I'm doing is beautiful, and that's okay. Just be